Most people waste $500 every month on things that will never make them richer. But what if you could turn that into real wealth? I'm going to show you exactly how to do that in 2025. So I actually had somebody approach me and ask me this question, hey, how should I invest $500? And I really got to thinking about it because I was like, okay, are you doing $500 at once or are you doing $500 a month? And this advice is actually going to go for both of those scenarios. So the first thing I would do is open up a Roth IRA because this is where the $500 would be going into, because this would be a tax advantage account that you have beyond just your 401k. Now, if you already have a Roth IRA and you plan on maxing it out, I would put this in an individual brokerage account. Something like Fidelity, Vanguard, Webull, something like that. But here's what you do. I want you to invest in not one, but two ETFs. One ETF being a broad-based ETF that goes across every single sector. And the second one is going to be a specialized ETF, which only focuses on one sector. And this is because ETFs, you already know how I feel about ETFs. ETFs are what I consider to be a full body of muscle and cardio, and basically just a complete athlete when it comes to how you can diversify your money the best. And for those of you who still don't really understand what I mean by that, I'm going to break it down right now. We're going to go over to my phone and I'm going to break down the 11 sectors for you really, really fast and give you analogies between that and muscle groups. Okay, so now we're in my phone. We're going to go over the stock market sector super quick. So first off, we have technology, aka the tech sector. So that represents the brain, aka the central nervous system. So just like your brain controls everything in your body, the tech sector drives innovation and efficiency, and it pretty much bleeds throughout all industries. So every industry you see right here is going to have stuff that has tech related things in it. Healthcare, of course, it makes sense for it to represent the heart because that's what keeps you alive. That's what keeps blood pumping to all the necessary areas. Financials, that is your core, and that's what stabilizes your entire body, just like finance stabilizes the banks, the insurance, and literally the entire economy. Consumer discretionary, that represents your arms and specifically your biceps, because everybody wants to have big arms, especially if you're a guy and you like to work out. That's what everybody wants, and everybody wants consumer discretionary things. So when you think about consumer discretionary, think about things from Amazon. Everybody wants to order things from Amazon. Everybody wants to go on vacation and go to a nice hotel like at the Marriott or something like that. So those are examples of consumer discretionary. Everybody likes those luxurious items. Consumer staples represents your legs. So think about the grocery stores. Think about Walmart. Think about Costco, Target, Kroger, places like that. That's what carries you through everyday life. You need the groceries, you need the food, you need the water, you need the beverages. You get what I'm saying? So extremely important. Energy is like your chest because that's what you need to push things and move things forward. And so that's what energy, that's what gas, that's what oil does for us. So that's why I would say it represents that. Industrials is like your backs, specifically your lats and your traps, because a strong back is going to support everything that you do as far as heavy lifting, just like industrials is going to support things like infrastructure, manufacturing, transportation, things like that. So then we have materials. Materials are like your bones because they are what the foundation is of everything. So think about wood, think about forestry, think about metals, think about even chemicals. Like things are built from these things because materials are foundational. Utilities represent your lungs because your water, your gas, your electricity, that is how society breathes. You know, we wouldn't have functional neighborhoods, businesses, or anything like that without utilities. It's something we don't think about every day, but it's something that we definitely need. And without them, we would lose a crucial part of society and the economy. Real estate represents your glutes and your hips because a strong lower body is going to keep you stable when you're doing things like heavy lifts or really any kind of athletic movement you can think of that involves your lower body. And so if you view building wealth as a heavy lift, which it very much is, Real estate is one thing that can guarantee long-term wealth and stability. Last but not least, communication services. So think about your hands and your fingers, because that's what connects everything. Just like communication is what connects the world. Think about internet, think about media, think about telecom. That keeps everybody connected in this now digital world that we know today. So now that we have discussed the sectors, we're going to go over some ETFs that I really like that represent the sectors very well. So if we're looking at all the sectors, aka a broad-based ETF, we're going to look at something like VOO. This right here, I don't have the entire composition of every single thing that's within this ETF, but right here it does show some representation of what's inside of it, just the top 10 holdings, you know what I'm saying, of the ETF. But this chart is amazing, and this is an example of an ETF that comprises of all 11 sectors. So this is a full body that has worked out every aspect of it and is conditioned, great cardio, who has great muscle build, who has great athleticism, who is a sharp thinker, has great hand-eye coordination, all of that good stuff. Another example of that would be VTI. VTI is a bit cheaper than VOO is, so that's another great option as well. So those are two examples of broad-based ETFs. Now we're going to look at one of my favorites, XLP. This is the specialized sector. This is specific to the consumer staples. Look at that chart. That chart is amazing. And we're going to go into the fund again to show you what's the top investments of that. So we're going to go to asset allocation. So Costco, Walmart, Procter & Gamble, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, you know what I'm saying? They have a lot of great companies within this. This is just the top 10. This has way more than 10 holdings within it, by the way. But just so you get an idea of what you're getting into, that's the XLP, the Consumer Staples ETF. So this is instead of like investing into just Coca-Cola, for example, or just Target or just Procter & Gamble, you're investing into something that owns a bit of all of them. And that's a great thing because you're getting a complete piece of that sector instead of just a part of that sector. So while you're already investing in a fund that owns pretty much every sector, now you're focusing on one sector that I think is really, really, really strong. Out of the 11 sectors, this is probably my second or third favorite sector, which is consumer staples. We are going to look at one more. This is another one of my favorites. Of course, we have the technology sector. So this is the semiconductor industry that lives inside of the technology sector. So this chart is a little bit volatile, but it has had amazing growth. And this would be something that I'd be looking at if I had $500 to invest either all at once right now or every single month. That's what I would be looking to do if I haven't invested before. Just based on what I know, we're going to look into the fund right here. Asset allocation. They have Nvidia, Taiwan Semiconductor, Broadcom, ASML, Qualcomm, Texas Instrument, Applied Materials, Intel. They have all kinds of stuff. Again, that's not every single holding they have. They have AMD in there somewhere. But yeah, this isn't just Nvidia by itself or just TSM by itself. This is all of them grouped together, which gives it a lower drawdown. And even though the amount that it can grow is a bit limited by the fact that it's kind of an average of all of those, it's still something that has a potential to continuously outperform the S&P 500 like VOO or something like that. So it's good to go ahead and have both, the best of both worlds. One being a broad-based ETF and another being a specialized ETF. So that way you can have both stability and growth and still outpace that of what your typical stock investor would be performing. So now that you understand all that, we're going to jump right into ETFs. So the first one I would do, my favorite ETF is VOO. You could choose VTI. They're kind of extremely similar actually, but that would be my first ETF. I would either choose VOO or VTI for that. But I would only put $300 of my entire $500 into that every month. And then the remaining 200, my favorite ETFs personally, two that I can think of right now that are my favorite that are somewhat inexpensive are XLP and SMH. So XLP is an ETF that is within the consumer staples sector, and SMH is an ETF that's in the technology sector. So XLP, think about Costco, Target, Walmart, Dollar General, all kinds of things like that, right? But then SMH is going to be things like Taiwan Semiconductor, Nvidia, AMD. So I would pick one of those. So in total, I would pick two ETFs. So for the sake of this example, I would put $300 into VOO. That's just me personally. I'm not telling you to do it. And I would put $200 into XLP. I would choose XLP over SMH for safety reasons, just because consumer staples is something that is going to always go up even during a recession. Like, they don't dip down very much at all. But the SMH, even though it's going to be way more lucrative than being in something like XLP, in my opinion, it is more volatile, and you can tell just by putting the charts side by side, which I'll actually show you here on the screen just so you can see what they look like. But what you end up choosing is going to be completely up to you. And of course, you don't even have to choose any of these ETFs that I've chosen in this video. In fact, I have a free link down below that if you want a bunch of stocks and ETFs to choose from that are actually good and have a good reputation, I have linked them below. I've done my own research for you and have selected a bunch of companies and a bunch of ETFs that I think are really, really good and have really good track records and nice charts to go with it. And you can access that by clicking the link down below. And if you have any money left over to invest at the end of the month, I would try to dedicate at least $50, if you have it, $50 to learning and gathering the information, especially if you're new to investing. Obviously, if you know what you're doing, you don't need to keep spending money, but you have to feed yourself that information, and you have to build a positive relationship with investing and understand the nature of the beast of investing, because it can go up, it can go down, it can get really, really nice and you can be really, really happy, or it can get really scary and you're like borderline depressed. So you just have to start looking at things a little bit differently. And the more you inform yourself, the less likely it is for you to make a hasty decision and pull all your money out and liquidate all your investments and essentially delete all of your hard work and then pay taxes for them on top of that. So I feel like information is something that is extremely important. You don't have to know every little thing about the stock market, but you should understand how the stock market is, how often it goes up, how often it goes down, what it looks like for a recession, how long it takes to recover from a recession, how many recessions we've even had. What things do I need to learn about the stock market that I don't already know? How do I get into companies and ETFs at the right price so I can make sure that it grows as much as it possibly can? If I invest $500 a month for 20 years, what's going to be my return on investment by the end of that if I invest in this and this and it gives me this type of return? You get what I'm saying? Like, you got to learn these things so you can invest time in this learning, and you can invest money into it. A lot of times if you invest money in it, you're just going to get everything you need right there instead of having to search. Like, if you spend time, it'll be great. You'll still get great information, but you might have to spend more time finding the things you need to find and going to different areas and being pretty much scattered around. What I provide is a one-stop shop in which you can learn everything you need to know about investing, from the basics to the more advanced things that can help you get really good returns, to how to even, predict a recession coming. And there is a way you can do that 100%. And you're actually able to capitalize when we have economic downturns and even recessions. But I also have live calls where I give live in the moment coaching right then and there. And it doesn't always have to be coaching. It can just be a live conversation with all of us. But I always have a presentation for everyone as far as personal finances, investing, current events, whatever the case is. But I definitely make sure that I share as much information as I'm finding as we go. And I'm also there to help everyone grow. We're all working to get our net worth up to where it needs to be. And I'm currently helping the community all build their first $100,000 in net worth. So if that sounds exciting to you, feel free to join the Wealth Journey Collective. It is linked down in the description for you. And of course, if you have any questions about it or if you're skeptical about it, feel free to reach out to me directly, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you might have. And we can even set up a Zoom call to talk about it if you want to. So just to recap, 2 ETFs, one being a bribe-based ETF, the other one being a specialized ETF that just focuses on one sector, and then 3, but not least, information so you don't make any crazy, hasty decisions. And read what you can about investing. It's not the most exciting topic, but I'm going to tell you what, applying that knowledge and seeing your money grow is a very exciting thing. And if you want, join Wealth Journey Collective and be part of a group and be part of a movement in which people are working to build their first $100,000 and beyond. Becoming better investors, growing within their careers, because if you didn't know, I have a management background and people ask me for career advice pretty much all the time, and I give good advice on stuff like resumes, how to interview, all kinds of stuff. So in there, I don't just do investing, but within it, I do have an investing course that you would have access to as long as you're a member of Wealth Journey Collective. I know I talk about it a lot on this channel, but I just want to make it very clear that this channel is here to help you grow, help you build wealth, help you invest. And I'm also going to shamelessly plug my platform and my business on this channel just because I feel like the people who watch this particular channel would be interested in something like that, a low price point to grow your wealth. So I just wanted to share that with you. But if you like this video, you're going to love this video. Check it out right here.